G'day guys and welcome to episode 41 of the Bradley J Driver Experience. Before I announce today's guest, I want to give you guys a quick reminder about 42 for CF, the marathon that I'm arranging here in Wollongong for Cystic Fibrosis Australia. As most of you know, I'm a cystic fibrosis patient myself, but I believe that regardless of the barriers and limitations that CF seems to set on our community, that whatever you put your mind to and you work towards, you can achieve. And so I decided back about a month ago that I was going to run a marathon. You know, I'm definitely not a runner. I'm as far from a runner as possible, but I decided that this would be a really nice way to show the community that whatever you achieve, you can actually, whatever you set your mind to, you can achieve, I should say. But enough about that, and on to today's guest. You may remember that just a few months ago, he was on the show, and now he's back for round two. Within those months, it's been a wild ride. Touring New Zealand with his stand-up show, his face in the limelight, and quickly becoming a household name that we all know and love. At the ripe age of 25, he's the youngest comedian in New Zealand's history to sell out the Sky City Arena in Auckland. And in 1982, he starred in Steven Spielberg's sci-fi classic. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Daymond. How are you, brother?
Man, bro, I think you didn't list enough of my credits there. I also starred in 2005's Get Rich, Die Trying. And I starred in the PIMP music video, playing myself, 50 Cent.
Bro. I was literally sitting there last night and thinking, I've got to give him an intro that he deserves, but I've got to have a dig as well.
You got me, you bastard. You got me. No, appreciate you having me, brother. It's, bro, because what we were saying before was April that we last.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was about April time.
Yeah.
The first one, and you know, we had that conversation. You've just gone to the next level, man. And one thing I want to say,
appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
We're always pretty lighthearted when we chat, but the one thing that I can honestly say, regardless of all your success and how well you're doing, is from the minute you come on the show until now, you've been an amazing support of mine, and you've really gone out of your way to send a lot of kind words and really help the show grow. So I appreciate it heaps, man. You're not only a real funny fucker, but you're a good human.
Appreciate it, brother. I mean, it's easy to, you know, reciprocate. You just reciprocate what you're given, mate. So that was all it was for me. It wasn't any added effort. It was just, I think everybody that watched the episode, they saw that we became pretty good mates over that hour. And that was all it really was for me, bro. So I wouldn't put it down to me being, you know, particularly good person. It was just we just got along, and that shit was very easy to just get behind. And especially with you, like your whole thing is about helping others, in particular people that suffer from CF. So and the least I can do is, you know, spread the message as much as I can.
It means a lot.
Of course, bro.
It's been a crazy couple of months. Literally, it's almost, I reckon, within 2-3 weeks of you being on the show the first time, it just looked, you know, we spoke about in that first episode, everything that went into those first few years of your career and those struggles, both financially and mentally, where you have to keep it on and believe in your craft and believe in the talent and the ability that you have. What was the change? Was it just years of hard work building up?
Well, I put it down. It was funny because before lockdown, things sort of started to build up for me, and then lockdown actually came at the perfect time because it forced everyone to sort of sit down, and you know, they didn't really have anything else to do, so everyone was on social media. And then the second that the 4-week announcement was announced, I was like, okay, it's all been building up to this. I'll put out one thing every single day, and we'll see how we come out of it. And yeah, people, you know, they were paying attention to the videos that I was putting out every day, but then they also started to get on board with kind of me as a personality and everything I'm about. And that was really like that was really the tip of it all. So I was very lucky, obviously, for lockdown to happen. And I would say, you know, all these sort of years of building up, it really just had its tipping point there and came out the other end, and things were very, very different for me. So it was pretty freaky. Yeah.
I remember sitting down. It was probably a month or so after we had that first ep that we done. I done that little Friday night Facebook Live, and you
Yeah.
live and done like a little half-hour yarn. And man, I had so many messages after that. People and they couldn't believe how, because you put a video out on social, and quite often it's something you've planned, or like you get time to think about it. You get to check whether you like it before you post it. But when you're live, it's just pure wit, and you really see how funny someone is when they've got to think on the spot. And so many people message me like, who was that was just on live? Like, he's a cracker.
out the gate.
Yeah, and like even guys like Cyrus who come on, the musician, he was just like, bro, who is that? I just laughed for a half hour before coming on. And we've really
Appreciate it, bro.
started to see, I think, through your stand-up stuff and those little glimpses that you've been able to show on social, that that's probably one of your strengths, is you just have amazing on-the-spot wit and the ability to turn anything into a really funny scenario. So talk to me about the whole experience of, getting that exposure. Then New Zealand comes out of the lockdown and restrictions, and I know you started to do a few shows, but then that blew up.
Yeah. It was but it was honestly crazy. Like it was it couldn't have been done in a weirder way that, I come into lockdown reasonably unknown and then come out and, it was completely different for me. So literally, bro, like my first walk out of lockdown, because what happened in New Zealand was we did our 4-week lockdown, and then we actually went into level 3. But in level 3, like you were allowed to walk around in level 4, but obviously it's a bit more lax. And so I went for my first walk in level 3, and this had never happened to me. But the first car that drives past me, the guy points out, he's like, Joey D, and like toots his horn and shit. And obviously I'd seen online like how the reception had changed a little bit, but for that to be the first sort of time outside of lockdown for me, and it came to that, I was immediately like, fuck, it's probably a little bit different now. And then it's just been, you guys may have seen it unfold. It's probably been funny for you to watch. It's just been a bit of a whirlwind since.
Definitely.
And it's crazy to be in. Yeah.
You were starting to, like, I knew that you'd be starting to get public reception, but I think it's one thing when you get public reception. It's another thing where you start to get all these interview requests, podcast requests, and you were on sort of like my podcast, hustling for that next few weeks in lockdown. Then you were on Nate Now's podcast. You were on, my FM a couple times. You were doing stuff. It was a Maori TV. You done an interview. Like, I continue to see your face across all of this media stuff. How was that?
Yeah. Wow, it was freaky, man. And the funniest thing was, is because like what I mentioned, when we talked last time, I'd been years working away trying to get different projects up out there, and and that includes emailing, media, trying to get it, you're trying to market your work, you're trying to get it out there as much as you can. And so I was doing all these interviews, and so many of them were just like, man, I remember when you emailed us all those years ago. And I was just cracking up because I was like, fuck, I got your reply lost in the mail.
No, we just.
But it was just, yeah. But bro, it was just a crazy experience, because, it was an opportunity for me to see, kind of how things had changed a little bit. And it was just hectic. Like, I'd always watched Kevin Hart doing, he used to do his vlogs on when he'd go do press runs. And I remember he did a vlog on when he did his press run in Aussie. And it's just him going to radio, going to TV. And I remember always watching that thinking, fuck, it'd be so mean to do that one day. And then I was in the same position, over the period. And it was just buzzy, bro. Like, I struggle to talk about it now, because I never really sat down to think about it. But when I do, it's still, but any chance that I do think about it a little bit, I just don't even really know how to even talk about it, because it's just quite surreal for me.
How's that been for, say, family and friends who have been there since the beginning? For them, like, they'd notice it big time, right? They'd notice that finally they feel like it's almost emotional for them, because they feel like after so many years of that struggle, you're now where you want.
Yeah, bro. I think the funniest thing is, I think with all my friends and family, is it got past the point where it was like, you know, like it was at the point where it was easily at the point where they were all like, all right, is this guy gonna get an actual job? Is he still trying this? It was at that point, and so I think when it actually all started to unfold and started to hit, everyone was kind of blown away as well. And you know, they were as bamboozled as I was. We were all just like, what the fuck is going on? Because you know, even for my parents, it was at the point for them where they sat me down and were like, you need to look at actually getting a career, because I don't really know where this is going. But how, you know, what I said to them, and this was like end of last year, bro. I literally sat them down and said, this is gonna go off. I don't know why, I know, but it will. Just trust me. I don't know when, but it's gonna be soon. And then 6 months later, I was, you know, fucking at Sky City, bro. Yeah, thinking of that is crazy to me, but I don't even know how to talk about it.
About that tour in a minute, because that blew me away. That was nuts, and that was so exciting seeing, even from this side of the border or this side of the ditch, to see you selling out these shows and all that was insane. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I just want to touch on that conversation that you have with your family. And I had a similar one with my family recently where, do you know that feeling where it's like you can just feel, I keep saying to people, I can feel that like any day or one single person listening or meeting me or sitting down with me, shit could change forever. Like I feel like my life could change in a matter of a day. And it's that feeling that you can't explain, you don't know why, but I've got a feeling it's got something to do when you feel like you're on purpose. You know what I mean? You lead to what you're meant to be doing, and you know,
absolutely,
in a minute, because it's right, it could just work out. How long did you have that feeling for?
Bro, probably, in all honesty, maybe since I started. So for the last 3 years. I was really just kind of operating on people would ask me why I was doing certain things, you know, why I was trying for certain things. And my answer was always just like, I knew my plan, but I couldn't tell them why I knew that was the plan. I couldn't tell them where it came from. But it was just this thing. And it sounds so bullshit when you tell people that when you figure it out, it just clicks. But that's literally all it is.
100%.
Is that when you put in the effort to find it, when you do find it, for some reason it just clicks in your head. And I literally can't even explain like why it does. But you just immediately you see everything. Because what I think happens is what you want becomes bigger than the usual obstacles that you put up for yourself. Because usually you look at things and you think, all right, what are they going to think? Okay, maybe I have to think of it in this way. All right, that's not really a career. You usually weasel it into what people's usual expectations are of you. But when you find that actual thing, you look at it exactly for what it is. And that's why your mind just opens up to the possibilities, because you're not putting those obstacles in your way. And I think that's just what happened with me with stand-up, bro. Is I found it and I was like, fuck, that's it. I'm gone.
You know what the thing is? I was literally just pulling up then one of your posts on IG, which I think I shared the other night when I said you're coming back on the show. And I think what a lot of people don't get to appreciate about you is because your job is to be funny and to sort of take the piss, people forget that that's actually you following your passion and you doing what you love. And you put up a post where you shared the video and a few other videos of you walking out onto the stage at Sky City. And basically, you know, there was a few other things in there, but you basically said you can do anything you want to do and be anything you want to be. Don't worry about uni or a stable career path. Fuck all that. Be who you truly want to be. Just know that this is just the beginning for me and it's only going to get bigger from here. And I love that, man, because I think we all buy into this thing, and I've done it for many years, that, and I couldn't really talk about it last time we were on the show because I hadn't announced that I was leaving work yet or quitting my job. I was trying to keep that under wraps. I know we spoke about it off record, but when you find yourself in that rut of doing what you feel like you have to do, it's really easy just to sit there and stay and just to keep on keeping on because there's money coming into the account every week. It's comfortable. But man, as we said just before we come on today, I've literally not made a single cent. I've probably made, like, in terms of actual income, $250 in the space of like 3 months. And bro,
I was the same.
I'm happier than I've ever been. It just feels right. And eventually you need money to live, but I know that will come as a byproduct of happiness and
Yeah,
on purpose.
100%, 100%. And it was for me, it was one of those things where I was just like, well, actually, I ticked all the boxes that I was ticking the boxes that people were telling me to tick, and I was fucking miserable. And I think people hang on to the fact that, okay, they keep adding more boxes to tick. I think I'll be happy once I tick the extra boxes they keep putting on. But I think I realized earlier, I was like, no, I've only ticked a few boxes, but I know this isn't going to make me happy. I'm going to go try find something else. And the instability and the uncertainty of going to go find that other thing, I'd much rather have that than the certainty that I know that I'll be unhappy if I stay on the path that I'm in. And that was all it was for me, bro. I was like, I would much rather not know what's happening tomorrow than know what's happening tomorrow and know that I'll hate it. And that's just the position I'm in. Yeah.
Write that one in your notebook, guys. That's the key.
Fucking up. Tat it just above the gooch line, so that when I'm coming down, I can make sure that I'm reminded of exactly how I need to live my life. Just above the gooch line, and then I'm going in and I'm eating your ass.
Straight at the eye.
Nah, just above the gooch line, just below the balls.
Yeah. Wait, talk to me about these shows. When you decided that you were going to do, was it 3 or 4 shows that you initially announced?
It was 4, I think. Christchurch, Dunedin, Wellington, Hamilton. Yeah, 4 shows.
And
so yeah, 4 shows. What was that?
How many did that blow up to?
Bro, so that first initial 4 shows sold out in like just under 2 hours. It was like an hour and a half, and then eventually I ended up doing 10.
That's sick. That's so good.
Yeah,
I still remember
I think it was 10.
I think it was the first week you'd sold out those shows in a couple of hours, and you'd added more shows, and then I think you were standing outside Sky City, and there was some form of video, and you were talking about how soon enough you'd sell out Sky City Arena, and then within a matter of weeks you'd announce Sky City Arena was happening for 2 nights, 2 shows, and it's sold out. And I'm just like, it's crazy how quick that all happens. Talk to me about the experience on the stage again.
It fucking caught me off guard, man. But the funniest thing is, so the video that you saw, I was standing at, it wasn't Sky City, it was another theatre called the ASB Waterfront Theatre. And what happened was, that had always been my goal to hit at the start of next year. It's 650 seats. And I wanted to do I think what I said in the video was, I want to do 2 or 3 nights, which is why I'm going to wait till next year, which, I know I'll be at the point where I could do 2 or 3 nights at 650. And then, I announced Sky City 2 weeks later, and that's 700.
It's crazy.
So it's it was bigger than the one I was standing outside of. But bro, it was just crazy. It was crazy to be up on stage. It was, I think I'd been so accustomed to doing stand-up comedy that because I think if I'm completely honest, and I've talked about it openly, I wasn't happy with my performance over the whole tour. And the reason being is because I was ready for the stand-up. I wasn't ready for everything else that came with it.
Yeah.
Because I've been, stand-up, I'm doing it for 3 years, bro, just about every day. So that part of it it's just a muscle at this point. But I wasn't ready for, the attention. I wasn't ready for, people coming out to me. I wasn't ready for having to do interviews. I wasn't ready for cameras. There being cameras with me backstage, and then I have to walk on, a camera in my face. I have to say something, and then literally have to walk on straight after. I wasn't ready for all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think over the whole tour, the response has been great. People, said they loved it, but I think for me, I definitely found it tough. But at the same time, it was fucking amazing, bro. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. I loved every second of it. It's by far been the hardest thing I've done so far, but it was so fucking mean, bro. It was so sick.
Was there a moment from those 10 shows that you look back on and it was the highlight?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, for sure. I think there was 2 highlights. Funnily enough. So being back in Wellies, so Wellington, where I'm from, those were the smallest. I did the smallest room there. So yeah, it was just under 100, and I wanted to do that because I knew the next time I come back, I wanted to do like a big. So the big theatre in Wellies is called the Opera House. Okay. It's a really prestigious one. So I wanted to come back and do that. So I just did a small one, and my first show in Wellies, it was 5 p.m. and I had like all my mates, all my family were there. And yeah, that was probably like one of my favorite moments, was just having like everybody there. And then walking out to Sky City, bro, 700, fucking Saturday night, the crowd were all pissed as fuck.
Yeah.
But I walked out and there were people standing up and, like cheering, and I was just like, this is fucking madness. This is ridiculous.
That's so good.
I felt like the fucking head of Scientology.
Yeah.
I got
like Tom Cruise in Scientology.
I feel like Tom Cruise, bro, walking out to talk about L. Ron Hubbard. It was gonna go lock a bunch of them in the bathroom for 12 weeks. We're not even in COVID. But yeah, bro, it was great. It was just insane, bro. And I think I haven't. I went straight into work, like straight into working on other projects, like literally the day after Sky City. So I never really sat down to think about it. But I'm thinking about Sky City now and all the tour and stuff, and it was just ridiculous, man. It was crazy.
You said you went back straight into working on new projects that next day. I know the first time we spoke, you've got a real passion for like writing as well, and
yeah,
like movies, TV, actual cinematography. Talk to me about that. Has this experience of those 10 sellout shows and the stand-up and everything that's happened in the past 3 months, has that changed your direction a little bit and made you, I guess, a little bit more single-minded towards your stand-up? Or do you still have that same passion and that zest for writing and producing?
Bro, big time. So it did fully change my perspective. And I think what happened was, I think where I saw my career going was, heavily just down the creative side. So I thought I would come out and really just want to hone in on writing and stuff, which I still am. So I've got a bunch of, writing, television related projects coming up, which has been amazing, obviously. But bro, where my vision changed and what I wanted to do, and not shitting, that's why I watched the Tom Waterhouse podcast. I've been getting back into. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur when I was a kid. Always wanted to have my own business. I'd started my own businesses when I was younger, and I've had businesses my whole life basically. Just different little things I was running, and that was where my mindset changed. Was I really wanted to get back into that avenue, and so I've also got a couple companies, couple startups that I'm working on at the moment, and that's been taking up just as much of my time as anything creative. So I'm really excited about those, and it's just like it's reignited my passion for business for sure. And yeah, I'm loving being amongst it.
That's awesome to hear. Eh? Is it stuff more so linked to comedy, or is it completely different?
It still is definitely it's entertainment related for sure. Yeah, it's still in some ways related to comedy for sure. It's still related to a lot of what I do, but I think with what the whole tour and stuff made me realize is how much I love just running businesses and entrepreneurship and every part of that. I was I think I started my first business when I was like 13, doing t-shirts, and then like I ran a marketing company when I was 19, and have always done different things. And so it just reignited my passion for it, bro. And that, I'm really glad it did that, because the stuff I'm working on, I'm really excited about on both sides. And it's just nice to, because the biggest thing I was scared of is that you come off something like a tour and like a Sky City, and you get scared that you're like, shit, how do I find something bigger for me to shoot for? And then, obviously I had no problem doing that. I was in on the Monday straight after the Sunday show, and was just like, fuck, let's get the next thing.
Well, that's a challenge, isn't it? Like we speak about that a lot. And the thing for me was coming off the back of like having those little minor successes with getting bigger guests on and booking bigger people, and like building audience, events happening, opportunities coming up. is like if you get too content, you forget kind of what got you to that point. And for me, I was still such early stages. And I was actually saying to my old boy before, he just left I like to call it the studio, but the apartment, so I could shoot it out noise because it was so early stage. And I was just saying, I was like, I'm keen to bounce off Joe and just get an idea as a creative. It's really hard to build almost like that business growth.
It is.
You continue to be creative, but you need a platform to build off, and you need to continue building for it to be, like we spoke about, you can be, happy and make less money because you're living the lifestyle that you want to, but you still need to have some sort of career path and career growth.
For sure.
Financially.
For sure.
Yourself and to continue moving in that direction. And that's one 100%. Thing you've done really well.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I found, bro, was like, I love what I'm doing, but at the moment it's labor dependent. So, I can make good money doing stand-up, but I may not want to do that forever. And if I want to make that good money, I have to go. So, bro, that was my battery.
But yeah, that pops up is outstanding anyways.
Yeah, shout out to my brother and sister. But don't worry, it's not weird, they're together. But yeah, bro, it's labor dependent. So like I can make good money, but yeah, it just means I have to actually be out there touring. And I think, I realized the importance of having stability, but also something that can grow beyond just me. If I was to base something around my growth, sure, it can experience quick growth like I've been able to and been lucky to, but then it becomes entirely dependent on how me personally, how I'm viewed, by outside factors. If I build something that's beyond me, then it isn't tied to, whether I'm hot or not. It's just, it's fully tied to how good the product or the business is that I'm embarking on. So that's where I saw the importance of it. And I think beforehand I was going to be more than happy to just stick to, I'll just make my money through writing and just stand up. And I think coming off the tour, it made me realize, I need to have something stable so that when the love for it does run out, if it ever does, but I'm being realistic, it may do one day, then I've got something there that's holding me down. So,
let's talk about realistically stand up as I guess it's a very time-consuming gig, because I don't think we might have touched on it in our first app. We spoke about the Kevin Hart doco, Don't Fuck This Up, and he spoke about, and I know he's spoken about it on Rogan as well, and a couple of those other platforms, where he talks about how long it actually takes to write a stand-up show and to practice that and perfect that. We're talking about a lot of these top-notch comics that can really only do a run of shows every 2 years.
Yeah.
So
and it's
is that you need other things, right?
For sure. And I think even when you just do the numbers in your head, it's like, okay, so the biggest comedian in the world could probably, make 5 million over a tour. And he's doing that for 2 years, and his 2.5 million isn't too bad. In a year, I mean, fuck, I definitely wouldn't kick 2.5 mil out of bed. Mate, I've got 2.5s out of 10s that I haven't kicked out of bed, but so I gotta tuck them in. But I'll tuck them in and kiss them in the morning. But it's I should have brushed your teeth first. But but I think it's one of those things where it's like it's a lot to it's a lot of risk. It's not a lot of stability. And it's entirely dependent on factors that are beyond what you can control. So you can put all that work in for 2 years, but you may have a great hour, but you come out of that 2 years and maybe you're not as hot a ticket as you were at the start of that 2 years. It's a lot of work to put in to then get to the end, and you're like, oh shit, it's not even a guaranteed. Like, fuck, there's still a lot of work to be done. So I think I realized the importance of that because I know, a moment can only be hot for so long. And I think I realized that, I mean, I'm still very lucky to be, I don't even really know how to say it, held in some regard by some people, but I know it's not going to be forever. And I know there'll be a point where fucking people probably hate me. So setting up that stability is important. And on the other hand, it's also just something I would, I would just much prefer to have something more stable than just having to worry about, touring all the time and all that kind of shit.
Definitely. Hey, talk to me about your Patreon. How's that going?
Bro, it's been shit, sorry, bro.
Yeah,
My phone's fucking playing up. Sorry, mate. It's been good, bro. It's been good. It's been a great way to connect with my audience. So like, I don't really look at it as I don't really consider it an income stream for me, because it's so, like, Patreon's so up and down. At least when you're kind of at the stage I am, where it's the content on there, the people are only really there just to support me. It's not because the content itself is particularly amazing.
Yeah.
But it is a great income stream nonetheless, and it's an awesome opportunity to connect to your audience. And so, like, I went live to my Patreon last night, and the stuff I can talk, because it's like it's a private stream, I can talk about a lot more things than usual. And I've done it to the point where people, I know, like, a lot of my patrons by name. I would say I probably know 90% of them by like face and name, and we've been messaging, and so it's just awesome to have this like personal connection with them. And as it gets bigger, that obviously will get harder. But I think as you get bigger, any part of an intimate connection that you can have with your fans, they'll really appreciate. So whilst my time with them will get smaller and smaller, that'll only happen as I get bigger. So I guess we'll both appreciate it, in relevance to like how much time I actually have to give back to my fans. So it's a great platform, bro. I'd definitely hop on it if you're thinking of it.
That's linked on your Instagram, isn't it?
So how I run mine is I just have a private Instagram account that I kind of run everything through. So it isn't like you can't attach it to Patreon, or I haven't figured out how to. I just run like a separate Instagram. But I also still run everything through the Patreon app, but it's easier just to chuck up announcements on the Instagram, and go live. And I obviously use that account to go live with them and stuff. And I'll post like stupid ass little videos and just heaps of random stuff. Are you thinking of hopping on?
Bro, just like future ideas, and thinking once the audience on this show really builds up, and thinking about, at the moment, the podcast, you always want to keep that free. You want to make sure it's easily accessible to everyone, because you're the best podcasts in the world. That you got the Joe Rogan experience, the Bradley J. Driver experience, and probably a few after that. But and you just think you want to keep as much of your content free, but you kind of want to have those insiders for, like you said, those loyal fans and listeners, and the people that tune in all the time and want those bit of extras, where you can sit down and maybe have a more intimate Q&A with a guest, or you can have some business insiders if you've got someone like Tom Waterhouse on, or and offer that to Patreon members. And it's just been really interesting to watch your growth through that, and see how many people. I remember when you were saying you just kicked over 50. And your audience over social's gone nuts, and I can just imagine those opportunities opening up. And even with to see your pod going crazy and big sponsorships and all that sort of stuff is really exciting. As a creator,
I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it, bro. I think for you, bro, like where I've gotten real good value from watching your podcast over the last few has definitely been like in the business realm. And I mean, as we always talk about, it's entirely up to you what direction you want to go down. But I think, at least just off the top of my head, I think the biggest thing that you offer people beyond what they can get elsewhere is definitely from like that kind of insight and real, business, real estate, finance. I think you have a lot of value in that, but you have a lot of value in being that voice, but in a really relatable way that doesn't explain it to you in a way that's fucking like confusing.
I appreciate that.
And so I reckon tackling people would 100% to subscribe to something that's in that realm that is it may be business financial advice that they may have heard elsewhere, but it's through the reason they're subscribing to you is because they want to hear it from you. So
Yeah,
um,
I appreciate that.
yeah, something along those lines could be definitely, because I mean, like, the whole reason people subscribe to me is because the stupid shit that I say they find funny,
Yeah,
and so like that's why they subscribe to me, because they want to hear more of it. They get that, you know, a lot of your followers get that value out of you from that, and they would subscribe to getting even more if the opportunity was there. Yeah, it's just about starting.
Wait, talk to me about securing the sponsorship with. You still got sponsorship with Bumble?
Bro, so bro, that was like, oh man, that was low key like a mess. But yeah, I had that. It was very funny. Like, it was very on brand. But yeah, the opportunities have been cool, and I've got I actually went and had a meeting with another sponsor. The sponsorship and even just podcasting side of things for me, it really took a hit over this whole period, because I was so focused on stand up and stuff that I didn't really have the time to focus on all the other things. But I've just brought on like 2 employees, and so it's been nice being able to spread them across everything I'm doing as well. So the podcast is picking back up. What's that?
That's a bit of a team now.
Yeah, bro. So it's been a fucking, like, it's a godsend. Because yeah, just spreading them across everything I'm doing has been, yeah, it's been so good. It's been a blessing. So being able to pick up in areas, and already, because the Patreon, obviously, it was at pretty decent numbers. I think it might have been at like 50 or 60, like I was saying. And then even just in the last 2 weeks, because I hadn't really been pushing the Patreon since I had like my massive amount of growth, and even just in the last few weeks of picking things back up and getting back into the swing of things with the help of my two new employees, it's already like doubled, so it's at just over 100, and the podcast is out. And the first episode was a little bit more quiet, but going to start bringing in clips and all those things that always help with the growth. So yeah, I'm excited with where it's all, the direction it's all going. Yeah, already got sponsorship for these next few, so
that's awesome.
It's been really cool, but it's been fucking ages in the making, for sure. That's like, yeah, I think that's the thing I try to get across to people, is that's 3 years that it took me to get there. It was
it's all in your time, isn't it? That's why I think, just touching on what we spoke about before, you have to love it, because if you don't love it, it won't last.
No, not at all. Where you like, if you don't truly love it, that first little set of obstacles will fucking just destroy you. Because like, I fucking love what I'm doing, and and some of the obstacles have pushed me to the point where I'm almost like, fuck, I'm done with this. So if you don't love it, you're not even going to get to the point where those obstacles show up, because you'll give up for the earlier ones. And yeah, that's exactly why it is so important to love what you're doing, because yeah, the shit's hard to do.
Definitely.
And that's got to be the reason at the end of the day why you do it.
100%. Hey, I'm going to let you go in a second and get back to your day, but before we go, I want to get an idea for, obviously, plenty of Aussie listeners here. I get a couple of Kiwis and a couple of people from the UK that listen in at the moment, which is cool. But when are your plans to come over to Australia? What does that look like once, obviously, COVID's passed? Is that something that you're looking to do straight away, or?
Yeah, of course. So I've been lucky to sign like quite a big deal with a big touring promoter. So like they're the largest they're the largest like of their kind in the world. And some people may be able to guess who it is, but yeah, so I'm touring with them to Australia next year. We'll be announcing pretty much we're at the hands of COVID, bro. So as soon as things open up, as soon as we get a better idea, then we'll know when and where we'll be. But yeah, just know I've put pen to paper with the intention of there's definitely something coming next year. And if borders open up earlier, if they open up for even as early as the end of this year, then I'll definitely be coming over before that as well, just to have a little fuck around. So
that's so good to hear. Man, I'm really looking forward to that because I'm keen to come and sit face to face at a show, and also, brother, to get you to Active Boys for a little jog.
Bro, I'm coming. Yeah, remember when I messaged you? I was like, bro, I'm coming to Active Boys. I'm not running, but I'll walk fast. Yeah, no, I'm definitely coming, bro. Fuck it. It always looks like a good laugh, eh?
It is, brother.
I love a cheeky fiver.
It is. Hey, I appreciate so much you taking the time out of your day again to come on the show. It means the world to me.
Brother.
And like I said, it's just awesome to bounce off you all the time and to see your growth. And I just want to make sure that people can continue to support you and follow you, because as we said throughout the show, as you know, creatives, and especially this guy who literally put a lot of his life on hold to go and chase the dream and to follow a passion, to see you having the success you do is all off the back of the people that tune in and love it and support it. So continue to do that. Go follow this guy on social, listen to his podcast, Shit Talk. I'll put all of the links in the show notes so you can go ahead and get around it. As always, brother, it's been a massive pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Legend.
Somewhere